Welcome. I'm David Mullins, and this is The Mentality of. So, I'm a sports psychology consultant. I've been working with athletes for 10 years now on their mental game. So, that involves getting the maximum out of their preparation and then helping them deliver their best possible for performance when it really counts. So, I've been actually working predominantly with MMA fighters. That's fighters from the UFC and Bellator and smaller organizations like Cage Warriors. I've actually been involved in close to 200 fights now, maybe over 200 fights now at this stage. So that involves helping the fighter get ready for that fight and the build up, and then hopefully delivering their best possible performance and a win on fight night. And in my years of experience working with fighters, I found that I've obviously been massively invested come performance time, come fight time. And it's not just that I'm in their corner and want them to win. It's more than that. It's that I know more of the story. I know more of the mental battle that they've been facing in the build up to the fight. I know more of the psychological factors that are at play and they're trying to push through and trying to deal with heading into a contest. So I want to share some of that with you guys, and maybe we can look at some big fights through that lens, through that sports psychology lens, and maybe get a deeper appreciation for what's really going on heading into a fight. So this week it's the mentality of Adesanya versus Romero. And this is a really fascinating fight for the UFC middleweight title. We've got the new champion Adesanya, who just won the belt. He's had a meteoric rise through the division. He has just taken the UFC by storm since he debuted. Some incredibly impressive performances. Charismatic. He's got that X factor. He's a star. And he's his contender, the challenger, Yoel Romero. He has been involved in some incredible fights in his career. He's been at the top or around the top of the division for a long time now, but he's never actually won the title. And this is the fourth title fight that he's could have been involved in, should have been involved in, with the weight cutting issues, etc., taken away. But it is an amazing fight, I think. Technically and tactically, it's a great fight, and that's what a lot of people talk about in the build-up, is the tactics and the technical breakdown and what gets said in the build-up. But I want to look a little bit deeper, like I said, at the sports psychology point of view of this one. And let's see some of the mental battles that both guys might be facing heading in here. So for Adesanya, like I said, a meteoric rise through the division. Charismatic fighter, explosive, free-flowing, incredible skills. But he'll be facing some mental battles heading into this one, some unique battles for this fight that he hasn't had to deal with before. So for me, number one is his fact that he's the champion now. It's new. This is his first title defense, and there can actually be some negatives involved with being the champ, a new champion. If you're not careful, then you can fall into the trap maybe of starting to feel like you've already arrived, starting to feel like you're already at the top. And then there's only one place to go, and that's down. So when you're a new champion, I think it's really, really important that you reset your goals. When you become a champ, that would have been the goal, to become the champion. And then once that's attained and you've got the belt, it's got to be reset, the goals. It's not just a matter of keeping it. That's a little bit too negative, not losing your belt. That's a negative goal. That's not a very exciting, energizing goal. You want to reset those goals. I think you can make it around improvement and performance-based. And I think for Adesanya, especially a guy like him who's so new to the sport still, even though he's the champion, he's still new to MMA itself. So there is room for improvement there for him. So him and his team would have had to reset those goals, focus on performance, focus on improvement, so he keeps going up and up and up, and he doesn't allow himself to fall into that trap of complacency or a letdown when you become the champion, and this feeling like you've got to keep your title and not lose your belt. Those are tight, negative kind of things. He wants to be free-flowing, especially his style, free-flowing, free to express himself in there. So that's important that he reset his goals. I think that's important actually for no matter what you're doing, whether it's a fighter or no matter what it is you're doing, whatever it is in your career or in school or whatever you might be that you're doing. If you've achieved something that you are really working towards and you make it happen and it happens for you, you get it, then you've got to be careful that you don't allow yourself to fall into that trap of becoming complacent or just going along. You've got to reset goals. You've got to be energized, focused, switched on again, and excited by a new challenge. So that's important no matter what it is you're doing. You don't have to be a UFC champion to feel that stuff. You've got to be aware enough and reset those goals for yourself. So hopefully Adesanya has done that and he's ready to go again for this challenge. Another thing for him would be the fact that the fame that comes along with being a champion, especially someone like him who's so charismatic, such a fun personality. There's a fame, there's a celebrity that comes with this. And again, if you're not careful, you can fall into the trap of starting to believe your own hype. And then the work ethic starts to suffer. And you're not doing the things that got you there in the first place. Slowly, that can slip away. And then it's hard to get it back when it does. So he's got to stay grounded. Him and his team got to stay grounded. They've got to stay with their focus on the work and continuing to do the things that got them there in the first place and looking to improve. So that's, again, those goals and those resetting of those goals can help to deal with that fame thing. So he's got to keep that balance right, because it is exciting. It is a new world that would be opened up for him. But again, you've got to keep that balance and be able to separate the two and understand that can, as quickly as that stuff has come along, that stuff will disappear. And for him, his focus has to be on the work, keeping that work ethic and improving and getting better. And that's part of the psychological battle that he hasn't had to deal with before. So that's unique for him in this fight. And I think for Romero, he's also got some unique challenges heading into this one. So he's lost his last 2 fights, which is very unusual, obviously, for a title shot to be granted to a guy who's lost 2 fights. It's a little more understandable when you've watched those 2 fights, how close they were, and if they were given to him, there's no real argument with that. But he did lose them. On the record, he's lost his last 2 fights. So I think it's important for him mentally how he's dealt with that, how he's handled that. He can't allow himself to start that negative spiral that can happen where you start to think, oh no, I'm on the decline now and I'm losing and things are not going for me anymore, and maybe I am past it. If he allowed himself to start to think that way, again, it's very hard to get that back, to get that fire back. So he's got to take those fights, see them for what they were. There was lessons to be taken from them. Hopefully him and his team have taken those lessons and he's ready to kick on. And hopefully he's been ready to kick on since that defeat to Costa. And he hasn't allowed himself to start to get down on himself and get away from that. So he's got to keep that focus and have kept that perspective with these fights, so that now he's got this surprise shot. He's got this unexpected shot, and hopefully he's ready to go in there and deliver a big performance. And another factor for Romero psychologically is the fact that this probably is his last shot at a title. Should have been involved in 4 title fights now. This should be his 4th. He's cost himself title shots before by missing weight against Rockhold and against Whitaker. But this is another shot, an unexpected shot, surprise shot, but here it is. But he can't allow himself to feel desperate. He can't allow any of that, this is it, now or never. This is my last chance. That can be super helpful motivation-wise in the build-up in terms of the discipline and the dedication. But come fight night, come performance time, if you fight with that desperation, it causes you to reach for things that you shouldn't be reaching for. It causes you to fight with a tension, with a tightness that doesn't translate well to a best possible performance. We might have seen a little bit of that from Joe Benavidez last time out, where he had lost his 2 previous title fights against Mighty Mouse and maybe carried a little bit too much of that into this fight, where he was, maybe reaching for things and overreaching for things and putting himself in danger. So Romero's got to be careful here not to carry that stuff in with him. It might be true that this might be his last shot, but he doesn't need to carry it into the cage with him. He can be free from that come performance time and just ready to go in there and express himself like he can at his best. I think, again, like I talked about with Adesanya, there's lessons here for everyone with that stuff. I mean, everyone, I think, can relate a little bit to that idea of the thing you really want, and here it is, and it might be your last shot at it, or this might be it now or never. So whether that's a job interview that you've got, or an audition, or a showcase for some part you really want, or an exam that's going to get you into your college, or whatever it might be, that can help you in the build-up. But come time to deliver, you don't want to be carrying that desperation in with you. You don't want to be carrying that feeling of it's now or never, I've got to do it. You want to be free from that once it's time to actually go in there and perform, so that you're free and loose and ready to execute, and you're not distracted by the external pressures that might be going on around you. One other thing for Romero is the weight cut. So like I mentioned, he's missed weight a few times for what should have been title fights. And this is another chance. He is big at the weight. He's huge at the weight. But so much of the weight cutting is a mental battle. I've had to work with a lot of fighters who have had to make weight, and it's a tough cut for them. But so much of that is just the discipline in the build up. It's not so much on the last week. It's on the weeks and weeks prior, and the discipline and dedication it takes to stay committed and stick to your plan and trust your plan and not to get away from it. So hopefully he's done all that, because most of that's happened at this stage, obviously. Hopefully he's done that work and he's stayed focused, he's stayed disciplined. But that mental stress that's around making weight, that's there for him and that's real for him. But like I said, hopefully he does make it and we get a legit title fight on Saturday. Cannot wait for this one. It really is an exciting fight, as you can see, there's a lot going on. Like there is for every big fight, there's a unique mental battle that's going on for both fighters. Hope you've got a kind of a deeper understanding now of what maybe these guys are going through. This is just from what I can see from the outside looking in. There's obviously more to it. I know from working with fighters over the years, there's more going on for these guys that we don't even know about. Whether that's injuries, personal stuff that's going on, relationship stuff, or contract stuff, whatever it might be. There's always some stuff that's going on in the build up to a fight and that the fighters are having to deal with. So hopefully that gives you a little bit deeper understanding of what's going on for these guys in the mental battle. And I cannot wait for this fight. Hoping to do a few more of these videos coming up. So you can get me on Twitter. It's David Mullins, ITS David Mullins on Twitter. So comment me there if you have some fights that you want me to discuss, whether that's even previous fights that might have already happened. We can discuss the mental battle that took place in that fight. Thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you guys soon.